Here we are. Good afternoon, Roger.
Afternoon, Liam.
You okay?
Good. Very good, thank you. You?
Good. Whereabouts in the world are you right now, please?
I am sat in my office, South Manchester, close to Stockport.
What a beautiful part of the world, some would say.
Not today, but yeah, better today than some recent days.
And I suppose, well, welcome everybody if you're watching this, wherever you're watching it from. We've just kind of launched into it, but this is Let's Talk About Networking. This is, 20 minutes, 25 minutes of chat about business, about networking, about anything else really that crops up into our brains. And we just speak to a local business person every Friday. Actually, soon to be moved to a different day, but more about that later. But on a Friday afternoon, just to see what's going on in the world of business and networking. Today, we have none other than the I've heard the best IFA in the South Manchester region. Would that be right?
Well, I wouldn't want to burst the bubble. Who knows? I guess I'll take that.
Okay.
As long as it wasn't me who said it.
Well, it was, but we'll gloss over that.
That was off there.
So, first of all, I suppose that the first question is, how's business? How's life treating you?
Well, business is good. It's obviously been challenging the last 12 months. We last year was busy in certain aspects, but quiet in different aspects. You know, I wasn't writing a great deal of business, but I was busy speaking to people. One of the major parts of my job is speaking to people. So, you know, I was busy doing that. I was busy making sure people were happy and comfortable and understood what was happening in the world. Now in 2021, it seems to be busy again. People are now talking about investing, talking about protecting. And there's actually, business being written now. Still challenging because there are now new kind of COVID challenges which I'm facing. Writing business this year isn't as easy as writing business before because staff aren't in their offices. Medical underwriters are looking at different things now, and there are new swerve balls being thrown at us currently which weren't thrown at us before. So I'm always busy. Currently, I'm busy adapting to running a business coming out of a COVID pandemic, which is, new to everybody.
Yeah, well, yes. We've never been through something like this before. So have you always wanted to be in this profession then? Take us back. How did you get to this point of having your own firm?
Well, it was follow my father's footsteps or become a zookeeper. Well, I've always still got the fallback of a zookeeper because I did feel it would have been an easy job to do, but I do feel health and safety has probably made it quite tricky. You'll be carrying the wrong bucket to carry the fish to the penguins, and there'll be all sorts of contamination issues you've got to be concerned about. So I'd imagine being a zookeeper is not quite as idyllic as it might first seem. I guess, therefore, I followed the steps of my father. He's an IFA, or was an IFA, and well, until he retired. But I fell into it, though, to be honest with you. I never really had a particular longing to do anything through school and college. But what happened was when I was at college, I kind of started working at my dad's. He worked for an insurance company, and he was in sales, and I just got a part-time job on the admin side of things. So when I was at college, I wasn't at college very often, not because I was running truant, but the way my timetable fell, I had a lot of free time. So I used to get on the bus and go and do 3-4 hours work and then get on the bus back again. So whilst I was at college, I was actually learning the craft at the very bottom. So, I was filing, answering phones, making cups of tea, and kind of lost interest in the education side of the things. I won't tell you my A-level results, but it won't take long.
No,
because I want, on one side I was at college being educated, And then on the other hand of things, I was actually working already. So at age 16 or 17, I was already working on the career path. So that basically took over my attention. And that is where it all started, was at the bottom of the ladder at an insurance company. And then it just, I never worked with my father directly. We were always on different departments. And that was an intentional thing, because we may kill each other if we worked too closely together.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. So, and that was where it started. So I was an administrator at an insurance company. I was made redundant when they merged with another. And then I got my first job at an independent financial advisors back in '97, I think it was. And so I was made redundant, got this job, and I was the only employee at that time. And then that company merged, amalgamated. So we went from 3 people to 130 people, and then eventually got bought out by a big fish. And that was when I left, because it just changed the whole setup, really. And yeah, so yeah, I went from the bottom, from administration. I took my exams. I started getting experience out and about advising people. Eventually owning my own practice, and here I am today. So I'm in the village that I was born and raised in. So they call me Mr. BNI. No, they don't. I'm joking. They call me Mr. Bramall, but because I was born here, I was raised here, I went to school here. I now run my business from here. I live here. I socialize here. So it is a kind of a, it just happened. It just happened this way. But I do fly that local yokel flag around the village. My surname, as you can see on that corner, is quite recognizable.
Right.
So amongst myself, my family, my brother's family who aren't far away, my parents who are still in the village as well, my surname gets mentioned quite a few times a day, whether it's me or not. So name recognition is what is kind of my key to my advertising within the local area.
And your last name, of course, what's the sort of the etymology behind it? What's the history of it?
It's from North Wales.
Yes.
And that's where the Y and the double D comes from. So yeah, my parents are Welsh, born in Wrexham, and yeah.
Very good. I mean, important question then. If you were a zookeeper, what animal would you actually want to look after the most?
I don't think I've ever been asked that question. I don't know, really. I'm just a general animal lover, I guess. I have a dog. I have fish at home, but I like most animals. So I don't know. I guess if the animal was too big, you're talking elephants and rhinos, I think that'd be a bit daunting, really.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just look after the small fluffy things that don't bite. I definitely won't look after the snakes and spiders.
No, not for me either. So I mean, so what then? What then drives you on a daily basis? I'm not talking about the car. What drives you on a daily basis then? Why do you get up in the morning and say, right, I want to do the best that I can do? What's that why behind why you do what you do?
Well, probably the car, actually, but not in that sense. I do have a passion for cars. Anything automotive is my thing. So I guess that is the very shallow driver. Is I want a nice car.
Very good.
But beyond that, looking a little bit more deeply, I don't know. I guess I just want to provide for my family. Married with 2 children. So really, I just get out of bed in the morning. I do what I can around the house. I'm only half a mile away from the office, so I tootle into the office. And I just look after my clients. My clients are almost like an extended members of my family. So it's everything melds into one, really. What drives me? Just doing a good job for people, helping people, receiving that positive feedback after you've done something, people, and yeah, just doing a good job for people and keeping a roof over my head.
Of course. I'm not sure how much your industry then has been affected over the last 12 months, because there are lots of industries that I talk to that they've had to shut the doors, they've had to try to transition to an online business. Whereas I'm sure you want to be in front of people, you want to be face to face, but you can still do things over Zoom and Teams. Take me back 12 months, because it's almost 12 months ago now when we had to transition to this virtual strange world. What were your initial thoughts then about how it would affect your business, and how actually has it panned out?
Initial thoughts, I'm a small company, so I can adjust to things extremely quickly. I've adjusted to things throughout my career within the industry, whether it be change of regulation or stock market crashes or anything that's going on here. So I can very quickly change what I talk to people about. If there's a big endowment scandal going on, going back 20 odd years, well, I can very quickly stop talking about endowments and start talking about different things. So I've often had to change and adapt how my business runs and how I go about my day to day. So it wasn't too difficult, which I'm very lucky to be in that position. There's only myself here and Mandy, who does my everything else that I don't. So between the two of us, we can adapt. I think I've only seen Mandy 4 or 5 times since March last year. So, and she lives locally as well, but she's working from home most of the time. I've been working from home. When she comes into the office, I work from home.
Yeah.
So in terms of staffing and technology adaptation, no issues at all. We've just done what we needed to do. It's only now we're thinking about, maybe just if we meet in the office occasionally, it's not a big issue. That conversation is happening kind of now. But interaction with clients, I guess the interaction with clients is the biggest. I would normally be straight over to see a client, have a brew, have a chat, see them face to face with almost anything that we would be talking about, no matter how big or small. They'd come to the office, I'd go to them, we'd meet somewhere for a bite to eat, whatever it takes. So that obviously all changed. And yeah, I didn't particularly like that, because I'm a bit more of a people's person. I'd like to see people face to face. So I guess there was a mindset I needed to get into. But in terms of the business, I'm lucky that a lot of my clients, I get paid on a retainer basis. So I knew I had an income coming in. May not have been as great as it would have been had I been writing new business to top it up. And it would have been better had the markets not crashed 30% overnight also. But yeah, I was lucky in the fact that I am able to take my foot off the gas to a degree without too much drama. I can make calls from home, I can make calls from the office, I can do Zoom, so on and so forth. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was more of a getting used to it. It was more of keeping positive and keeping going, as opposed to waking up in the morning and you almost can't be bothered. That was a difficult.
Yeah.
It was more of a motivational challenge more than anything else, particularly. Might just be me being lazy. Who knows?
Almost definitely. We'll skip all of that. So, we're here to talk about networking. Quite a bit, and we now know each other through this organisation called BNI, and really this isn't really discussion, I would say, about BNI. It could be any networking, but of course networking is also transitioned as all our businesses to being online temporarily or some more permanently. They might make that decision. So if you don't mind telling us about your kind of networking history, that would be great.
Yeah, go back 10 years, I probably did zero networking.
Right.
We're always networking, but zero official networking. And then I started to do a network, again, local to here over lunch. And that was the first one I did. And I still do it to this day. And over the time, I've done different bits of, there's been certain triggers. That was the first networking I did. And then when I changed, my business changed, and I had to move from an office in Wilmslow to my office where I am now in Bramhall. So I wanted to try and push my exposure, name aside, in the village itself and get to meet some of the business people. So there was another networking session that I used to do then as well. It was largely focused around alcohol, and I without sounding like a raving alcoholic, it was almost the best networking I've ever done. There's been no greater breakdown of barriers than going and having a few drinks with people. I think the main networking was some like 6 till 8. I used to wobble home at about 11:30.
Nice.
And sometimes you couldn't remember who you'd been talking to, but that was beside the side. It was good networking, and I forged some brilliant contacts, of whom are all very close friends now. And I try and use, because based in a village like where I am now in Bramhall, I try and use all local people. A bit like BNI uses a local, contact within each chapter. So the people of whom I've met through that original networking, I still use their services, to this day. So, but I go through phases of doing a lot of networking, and then I have to pull the reins in a little bit. So I'm very much a network convert. I believe it works.
Good.
I think you have to be careful that networking doesn't go a bit stale at times. And some, you get good groups and you get bad groups. So I'm all for it. You just have to be ever so slightly careful about the amount of time it takes from your day. But if you're getting results, then there's nothing wrong with that in the slightest. Make sure you're putting the right effort in, and you're getting the rewards. Not straight away. We know it's a long burn, but as long as there's green shoots being that you can see, you just need to keep on slogging away. You treat people how you would like them to be treated. So
fair enough. And what was how was your introduction made then to, because your current group is Vision, which is based local to you. What was that introduction like into sort of the referral marketing strategy that is BNI?
Well, I mentioned that some networking groups can get a bit stale. So one of the networking groups I would say was getting a little bit stale for me, not for anybody else. And I would be first put my hands up to say maybe I wasn't doing what I needed to do. So, but it was going a bit stale. So I was contemplating leaving it at that time. And then I was walking the dog and I got a phone call off Kate Bourne inviting me to this new chapter. I've never been a massive fan of BNI. One of the other things I was told not to say, just from rumor and tidbits you pick up. It was always my pet thing to say, and I don't like the early morning starts either. So this group meets at brunch, so that ticks a box, and I just thought I'd give it a whirl because I've never done BNI before, and I was kind of a little anxious about the time aspect that you'd have to dedicate to it, and I was anxious about the pressure that is perceived to be given. But I thought, if I don't take this opportunity, because there's always an IFA in every chapter, and if you don't get in early, you're not getting in. So I thought, well, this was a gift being offered, so I had to grab it. So I did, and all my concerns have come true. I'm joking, Kate, by the way. I know you're listening.
Edit.
She's sweating. She'll be sweating there, and Louise. No, it's our group started to meet face to face.
Okay.
It started before the pandemic, only by a few months. So a very small cluster of us in Vision have actually met face to face, but the lion's share haven't.
Yeah.
So we very quickly moved over to online, and then we started to get a real gallop, because it was quite difficult to get new visitors and members at the start, because of course there's a global pandemic happening and people weren't talking to one another. It was a horrendous time to say, do you want to come and dedicate half a day to networking? Yeah. So, but we managed to get some steam behind us. Our visitors, so our members, have done an absolute sterling effort, and you will know who you are if you're listening in bringing visitors to the group. And we've really got a great momentum behind us. So we've now hit 30 members, and we are purely online at the minute.
Yes.
Now, the plan is to then reintroduce face-to-face, probably 3 onlines, 1 face-to-face on a monthly basis. But yeah, so it was an opportunity presented to me. I was always going to be the biggest challenge to get me to BNI, but you know, I don't tell anybody, but I do feel like a bit of a convert, because yes, there is the perceived pressure with your rankings, your app, things being logged and things like that, but it isn't as bad as people make out. And if anything, it stops you being too lethargic about it, and it actually makes sure things are at the front of your mind. And you know, it just makes sure you're concentrating on it, not necessarily being pressured, but it makes sure you've just got a bit more focus on it, as you would if you were at another group who only met once a month, for argument's sake, and didn't monitor anything and didn't track things. So it's for some people and it's not for other people, as everybody knows. But I think for me it was good, because it did give me that little bit of a, every now and then I need a bit of a shove.
Yeah.
It just, you know, put me into that shove. But you know, it's done really well. I've seen positive things come from it. I'm seeing great things from the other members, lots of referrals amongst one another. We have a great quiz night once a month as well. One of the members puts on, which is just mental and superb at the same time. And that has really bonded the group, because like I said, none of us have met each other. Well, a lot of us haven't met each other. So we've had this drunken quiz night of just crazy levels of questioning, and it's just really bonded the group. So you wouldn't know we've not met face to face, and it's just created this welcoming, open group, which is full of energy.
Good. Yeah. So what would your advice be then? You've got people watching this, and you know, people of course will have never heard of networking or never heard of BNI, or there may be people out there saying, actually, do you know what, I have heard about networking and BNI, and it's probably not for me, even though I haven't been down. What would your one piece of advice be, I suppose, to them viewers?
I just think you just got to try it. You just got to try it and be open. And ultimately, whatever is making you feel anxious about trying it, you just have to kind of have one of those out of body moments, and you've just got to walk into a room. Remember when we used to be able to do that? You just got to be able to walk into a room, head held high, and just go and say hello to somebody, because they're not going to bite you, and they don't know that you're feeling anxious about being in that position. You've just got to try it. You know, it isn't necessarily for everybody. BNI isn't for everybody, but also other networking groups aren't for everybody. Absolutely. And you've just got to try it and gel with the group. That's all I can really say. You know, I never used to do it. Now I'm perfectly happy doing it. I'm perfectly happy doing different types of networking, different groups, different sorts, daytime, lunchtime, mornings, not too early. Yeah, dude, just got to try it. Because if you don't try it, you're never going to know.
Agreed. Well, 25 minutes goes by very, very quickly. I say that every week, but it just does when you're having a bit of fun. And there's a lot of questions that I want to ask, but you know, everyone's time is tight as well as yours. So I really genuinely want to thank you very much. Honestly, where can people, last question, where can people go to find out a bit more about what you're doing in your fantastic company?
If you can remember how to spell the surname, just Google Prydderch Financial Planning. It will pop up somewhere. I'm on Facebook, not particularly very frequently on Facebook, but I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm not very great at social media, I'll tell you, but I have got a Facebook page as well. So just Google Prydderch Financial Planning, and you'll find me.
Brilliant. If you are watching this and you're thinking, actually, do you know what? I want to have a look at what these guys are talking about. I want to just have a see. Well, you're more than welcome to come down, scan that code at the top of the screen, wherever it is, somewhere up here, I'm not sure. Scan it. There, it's right above Roger's head. Scan it or put a comment in the box, and someone will be in touch and get you invited down to your local meeting. There's hundreds and hundreds of meetings across the country, and certainly across Manchester and the Kirklees and Calderdale area. Roger, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome, Leo.
The best weekend.
And yourself. Good.